Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Jutapada Kamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Shaguru Jatam Shahagana Raganatam Mitang Tang Shajivam Sadvaitam Shabhadutam Parijana Shaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Shibishagam Vidangsha Mantra Guru Ajota Shikha Guru Ganta Charane Age Koriya Bandhan Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachardine Nirvishesha Shandavani Paschata Desha Tarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Bhakta Sheva Param Shidhi Pramaloti Kada Mula Madhav Tite Bhakti Janani Jotane Palana Kore Krishna Boshati Bole Parama Adore Bore Gauramara Jeshabasthane Korela Brahman Range Sheshabashthan Heribo Ami Pranay Bhagat Shange Sheshabashthan Heribo Ami Pranay Bhagat Shange Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Mridanga Bada Shunite Mon Obashara Shada Jache Gauda Bihita Kirtana Shani Anande Hridoya Nache. Gauda Bihita Kirtana Shani Anande Hridoya Nache. Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. Jugal Murti Dekiya Mo Parama Ananda Hoya. Prashad Shaib Korite Ho Shakal Prapancha Jaya. Prashad Shaiba Korite Ho Shakala Prapancha Jaya. Jedin Grihe Bhajan Dekhi Grihete Goloka Bhaya. Charan Shidhu Dekiya Gonga Shukanashima Paya. Charan Shidhu Dekiya Gonga Shukanashima Paya. Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu Bhajana Anugula. Tulasi Deke Judaya Prana Madhava Toshani Jani. Madhava Toshani Jani. Gauda Priya Shaka Shebane Jibana Shartaka Mani. Gauda Priya Shaka Shebane Jibana Shartaka Mani. Shaka Shebane Jibana Shartaka Bhakti bina Krishna bhajane Anukula paya jaha. Pratidiboshe param shukhe svikara koroyeta. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Someone can read translation?
The dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees, enthusiastic devotional service, and service to the pure devotees of the highest order are the roots of the creeper of devotion.
The holy days like Ekadasi and Janmashtami are the mother of devotion for those devotees who respect them. Let the holy places of Krishna's pastime be my places of worship and blessing.
May I always visit all the places associated with the Leela of Lord Chaitanya and his devotees.
When I hear the sound of the Mridanga in my heart, I always desire to join Kirtana. And when I hear the bona fide song describing Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, my heart dances in ecstasy.
Whenever I see the transcendental Sri Vigraha of Radha Krishna, I am in bliss, for by taking the Lordship Shah we can wander over the material elements. One day while performing devotional practices, I saw my house transformed into a devotional house. When I take the chardana of the Vishnu, I feel a very deep water that comes from the feet of Lord Krishna. My bliss knows no bounds. The Srimad received in my heart feels joy and Lord Madhava. Lord Madhava is also satisfied. When I eat the prasada favored by Lord Chaitanya in the new life experience, Lord Chaitanya was very fond of a green vegetable preparation called lamb. And there is another song in this book by taste of the amazing effects of this type of prasada. Bhakti Vinoda concludes by saying, whosoever attains this stage of enthusiasm for these devotional practices will be supremely blissful wherever he may.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki. Everything is there in this song. Everything is there. One song, you learn this song, everything is there. Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jai Girivardhari, Jai Girivardhari. Jai Girivardhari, Jai Girivardhari. Jashodanandana, Jai Brajajana Ranjana, Jai Brajajana Ranjana. Brajajana Ranjana, Jai Brajajana. Jamuna Tidabana Chare, Jai Kunda Bihare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Jai Radha Madhav. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Puribrajaka Acharya Ashtatara Sadasa Samanchalo Abhacharan Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Shami Srila Prabhupada ki Iskon Pratishtata Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Kori Vaishnav Vrindagi Shamaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrindagi Jai Shri Nitya Gaura Shitanata Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishna Swadamo Bhagate Dharma Jnana Devi Shaha Kalo Nashtadrisham Esha Purana Kautanoditaha. This is second chapter, the 9th chapter, Canto 2, text number 2. Bahurupa iva bhati Mayaya bahurupaya Ramamano guneshvasya Mamaham iti manyate. Bahurupa iva bhati Mayaya bahurupaya Rama Mano Guneshvasya Mamaham iti manyate. Please chant. Bahurupa, multiforms, eva, as it were, abhati, manifested, mayaya, by the influence of the exterior energy, bahurupaya, in multifarious forms, ramamanaha, enjoying as it were, guneshu, in the modes of different qualities, asyaha, of the external energy, mama, mine, aham, I, iti, thus, monetary, thinks. The illusion living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord, while enjoying in the modes of material nature. The encaged living entity misconceives, thinking in terms of I and mine. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The different forms of the living entities are different dresses offered by the illusory external energy of the Lord, according to the modes of nature the living being desires to enjoy. The external material energy is represented by her three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So even in the material nature, there is a chance of an independent choice by the living entity. And according to his choice, the material energy offers him different varieties of material bodies. There are 900,000 varieties of material bodies in the water. 2 million. 2 million vegetable bodies. Jalaja Navalakshani, Jalaja Navalakshani, Krimaya Rudra Sankyapa, Pakshinam Dasha Lakshinam. 1,100,000 worms and reptiles, 1 million forms of birds, and 3 million different bodies of beasts, and 400,000 human forms. Chato Lakshani Manushaha. And altogether there are 8,400,000 species, varieties of bodies in different planets of the universe, and the living entity is traveling by so many transmigrations according to the different modes of enjoying spirit within himself. Even in one particular body, the living entity changes from childhood to boyhood, even from boyhood to youth, and from youth to old age, and from old age to another body. There's 3 modes, 3 threes and 9, 9 nines are 81, 8,400,000 permutation combinations. Living entity creates his own body by his personal desires, and the external energy of the Lord supplies him the exact form by which he can enjoy his desires to the fullest extent. The tiger wanted to enjoy blood of another animal, and therefore by the grace of the Lord, the material energy supplied him the body of the tiger with facilities for enjoying blood from another animal. Similarly, a living entity desiring to get the body of a demigod in a higher planet can also get it by the grace of the Lord. And if he is intelligent enough, he can desire to get a spiritual body to enjoy the company of the Lord, and he will get it. So the minute freedom of the living entity can be fully utilized by the Lord, and the Lord is so kind that he will award the living entity the same type of body he desires. The living entity's desiring is like dreaming of a golden mountain. A person knows what a mountain is, and he knows also what gold is, out of his desire only. He dreams of a golden mountain. When the dream is over, he sees something else in his presence. He finds in his awakened state that there is neither gold nor a mountain. And what to speak of a golden mountain? The different positions of the living entities in the material world under multifarious manifestations of bodies are due to the misconception of mine and I. The karmi thinks of this world as mine, and the jnani thinks I am everything. The whole material conception of politics, sociology, philanthropy, altruism, etc., conceived by the conditioned souls is on the basis of misconceived I and mine, which are products of a strong desire to enjoy material life. Identification with the body and the place where the body is obtained under different conceptions of socialism, nationalism, family, affection, and so on, is so forth, all due to the forgetfulness of the real nature of the living entity, and the whole misconception of the bewildered living entity can be removed by the association of Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaja Pariksit. All this explained in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Srila Prabhupada ki. Sri Radha Madhav ki. The jnani thinks I am everything. Did you hear the of the jnani who went into the pizza shop? The jnani who went into the pizza shop. Did you hear about that? He said, "Make me one with everything." He said, "Make me one with everything." Took a while. So even this is a conception of I. Even this is a conception of I, a misunderstanding. Jnanavan mam prapadyante. Real jnana means that I'm Krishna Das. Krishna Das, not that I am, even I am not this body. That's not the complete understanding. Who am I? I'm Nitya Krishna Das. When Srila Sanatana Goswami Prabhupada, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, we'll discuss a little bit about that. We're discussing in the afternoon about Mahaprabhu going to East Bengal. And he meets with Tapan Mishra. We'll discuss this afternoon at that place in Faridpur. Tapan Mishra, he comes and asks him, Sadhya Sadhan, what is the goal of life? How to attain it? And Mahaprabhu explains some things very, very relevant. We'll discuss this afternoon. But then afterwards, Tapan Mishra says, let me accompany you. And Mahaprabhu says, go to Varanasi. Go to Varanasi. And that's very extraordinary because it was 15 years later that Mahaprabhu came to Varanasi. But even at that time, he knew everything and he told him to go to Varanasi. And then subsequently, Mahaprabhu, after returning from Vrindavan and after Rupshika in Prayag, 10 days, Dashashvameta Ghat, then he carried along the Ganga and came to Varanasi. And there he met Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar, and he stayed in their house, and he instructed Srila Sanatana Goswami, who was arriving from Bengal. He was trying to get to Vrindavan. Rupa Goswami sent a letter. Get yourself, somehow or other, get yourself free from the from the prison. We were discussing about gold yesterday. Gold, Goldadesh, gold. So that's where the prison is. You can still see. You can still see the prison that Sanatana Goswami was kept in. That's there still, along with the palace of the Nawab. Many things there still you can see. The gates where Mahaprabhu entered, performed Sankirtan, attracted the attention of the Nawab. There's a wonderful description. And met with Rupa and Sanatan. That place is there. You can go and see everything. So then Mahaprabhu, he inspired them. They were you could say covered over. Prabhupada speaks very heavily in the purport. He says even such exalted souls, Nitya Siddha, they can become entangled. They were entangled in the service of the Nawab. They were entangled. And Mahaprabhu went to actually extricate them. Aj hoite toma naam rup sanatan, danna chara tama, danna fete morman. Aj hoite toma naam rup sanatan. From today, you'll be known as Rupa and Sanatan. And after that meeting, Rupa Goswami, he immediately left. It was like he had the element of surprise. He immediately left. That was it, finished. And he divided his wealth, Prabhupada explains, exemplary, half to the Brahmin Vaishnavas, 1/4 to family members, and 1/4 he kept for personal emergency. And subsequently that 1/4 he sent to Sanatana Goswami. So practically he didn't keep anything. And Sanatana Goswami, he put the gold coins, I think it was 5,000 in front of the jail keeper, and he said, actually, I want to get released and go to Mecca. He said, and you'll get so much merit if you release me and facilitate my attaining the salvation in Mecca. And the guard, he was kind of convinced, but not completely. So then he put another 3,000 coins, seeing all that gold. Imagine how 8,000 coins. When what did I just hear yesterday? That Prabhupada was in 1955. Prabhupada was selling. He was renting. Prabhupada was renting his apartment in 1955. He was renting it to three godbrothers, to Sridhar Swami and Bhakti Sharanga Swami. And actually at that time they awarded Prabhupada the title Bhaktivedanta while they were there in Kolkata, staying in his upstairs apartments. Bhakti Sharanga Maharaj, Sridhar Maharaj and Govinda Maharaj, and they were working with Prabhupada. They actually produced a book together. And also Prabhupada, he began writing, he wrote in 1939, he wrote Message of Godhead, which is the introduction to Bhagavad Gita as it is, Prabhupada's first major essay in English. And they awarded the title on him, Bhaktivedanta, at that time. So Prabhupada was renting that three rooms plus kitchen to them for 1 month, 20 rupees a month. 20 rupees a month. So you can imagine 500 years ago how much value was 8,000 gold coins. Right? 8,000 gold coins. There's so much money. The Goswamis, Chaktva Tonamashesha Mandalapati Shranim Sharatuchabat. Mandalapati Shranim, they were the leaders of the society. And they went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the middle of the night, because it would be such a you could say event. It would attract too much attention if such leaders of Chaktva Tonamashesha Mandalapati Shranim. Mandalapati means the aristocratic society. Shranim, they were the most aristocratic, the leaders of aristocratic society in all of Bengal. That was the capital of Bengal. It wasn't some small town. It was the capital of Bengal. And Mandalapati Shranim, they were the significant influential social leaders of the society and of the government. And it was a Mughal government. So it would have been too controversial for them to publicly go and see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It would have created too much concern. Even already the Nawab was concerned that so many people were following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when he heard the description, he sent his police constable in disguise. And he came back and the police constable was astonished. And he began to explain that I've seen so many mendicants. This is the capital of Bengal. You can imagine how familiar they were with sadhus and sannyasis. I've seen so many, but I've never seen a sannyasi like this. He's like a prince who had heard from a sage and has accepted the renounced order. His bodily features are so attractive. His golden limbs, his eyes are like lotus flowers. They stretch back to his ears. His ruby is like the pomegranate, the color of pomegranate. His ruby red lips and his pearl like white teeth. And his face is like 1,000 moons. Chandra Koti, his face, and his beauty of his chest like a lion, and his neck like a neck like a lion and chest like an elephant, and his such beauty. I've never seen his lotus feet, like soft like lotus petals. And hearing the description, actually the Nawab's heart changed. Hearing the description. Pashu paki jude, pashana bidore, pashu paki jude. The beasts and the birds cry, Pashu Paki Jude, Pashana Bidore, the stone melts, Shuni Jada Guna Gata, Shuni Jada Guna, hearing their qualities. Godanga Gune Te Jude, Nita Lila Taresh Pure. Narottam Thakur explains, Gauranga Gune Te Jude. When you consider the qualities of Gauranga Gune Te Jude, when you cry, considering the qualities of the Potit Pavan, what is the special quality? Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, Sri Chaitanya Avatar, Boro Bilokon, the special feature of Sri Chaitanya Avatar, Boro Bilokon, Aparad Shate Jiv Labe Prem Dhan. Even the offenders get prema. Where is such an example of a Param Doyalu avatar, Param Karuna avatar? Dekho ore bhai tribhubane nai emon doyala data. Deka ore bai. Look, brothers, Tribhubane nai within the three worlds. Emon doyalu, such a merciful Lord. Emon doyalu data. Poshupaki jude, the birds and the beasts cry. Pashana bidore, stone melts. Suni jara gunagata, hearing their qualities. So the Nawab, his mind changed. His mind changed. He was a great offender of the Vaishnavas and Sanatanists. Even when you visit that place in Ramkelli, you visit that place where the headquarters of the capital of Bengal, the palace of the Nawab, you'll see lying in the courtyard, lying in his garden, the structures that broken temples of Orissa. The pillars, which he broke the temples in Orissa, and he was so proud that he carried the huge pillars of the Orissan rock carving, a beautiful Orissan temple structure. The pillars, the broken pillars, he carried them all the way back to Gaur just to show off. I broke so many temples. This is the Nawab Hussain. He was a great terrorist of the Sanatanists. And hearing about, he never met Lord Chaitanya. Some of the Mogul leaders met Lord Chaitanya, some of them. Like, for example, when Goswami was leaving Puri to go to Bengal, he was trying to go to Vrindavan. Ebe shkoile, ebe Vrindavan giya, Krishna nisheban kori, nibrite boshya. At the time of taking sannyas, ebe shkoilo, having accepted this dress, ebe shkoilo, ebe Vrindavan giya, I will go to Vrindavan. Krishna nisheban kori, and worship Krishna nibrite boshya, in a secluded place. That was he was saying as he was wandering in Radhadesh, having accepted sannyas. And then Nityananda Prabhu, he arranged, come to Shantipur, spend time. It was too difficult. It was too much painful for the devotees in Navadip that Mahaprabhu suddenly took sannyas. So at least spend some time in Shantipur, 10 days, and Mahaprabhu. The kirtan, those kirtans are described. Kirtan kodite Prabhu Sarva Bhab Udoy. In those kirtans, Sarva Bhab Udoy, all of the emotions of love of God manifest in his body. Stamba, Kampa, Pulakasru Gadgara Pralai. Stamba, he became like a pillar. Stamba. Kampa, quivering, Pulakasru. His hair standing on end like a ripened jackfruit. Pulakasru, Gadgara Pralai. Roll, choke throat up, pralai, devastation. Those kirtans in Shantipur. And then Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Sitaram Prabhu, before I left Mayapur, we met together. He said, we'll go to Puri in December. Please come. And I was thinking, what will we discuss? And I was thinking we could discuss Mahaprabhu's departure from Navadip and journey to Pura. This discussed Shantipur, and then deciding to go to Jagannath Puri. It's a very wonderful chapter. Madhya-lila chapter 3. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed. So there's Nawab. He was such a cruel, destroying the temples in Orissa and giving so much trouble. But just hearing from his police constable, just hearing about the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his heart changed. And he said, this sannyasi, he understood he's God. He understood that. He understood. But I was discussing Mahaprabhu when he was leaving Puri to go to Vrindavan, but he went via Bengal. Go to Hoite, go to Deshe, more dui shamasrai janani janabi, a dui doyamoy. Before leaving Puri, he requested permission from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy. Go to Deshe, and go to Desh, more dui shamasrai. I have two shelters, samasrai, janani, Sachi Devi, Janabi, Maganga, a dui doyamoy. These two are full of mercy. So Mahaprabhu desired again. He had desire. He had attachment. He had attachment for Sachi Devi. He had attachment for Mahaganga. Bancha kalpataru shi gaura shundor janavir bancha punnakore nirantor. Janavir bancha, the desires of Mahaganga. Punnakore, fulfilling nirantor, constantly. Goshunda, he's constantly fulfilling the desires of Mahaganga. Bancha kalpa taru shi gaurishundor janavir bancha punnakore nirantor. And for that reason he's residing on the banks of the Ganga every day, taking bath 2-3 times. You can imagine their attachment. Those who are fortunate to live on the banks of Ganga, I have a little cottage. Even Lord Shiva, is desiring to live on the banks of Ganga in Mayapur, even Lord Shiva. Mayapur anturbage jhano virtire Gauranga bajibo ami rohira kutire. Mayapur anturbage in the Anturbage, deep within Mayapur, jhana virtire on the banks of Ganga. Gauranga bajibo ami, Gauranga bajibo, Gauranga. Lord Shiva is desiring to chant the name Gauranga in Antadeep, on the banks of Ganga. Gauranga bajibo ami, rohira kutire, living in a cottage. Even Lord Shiva desires. So if you live in Mayapur, live close to Ganga, I take bath every day. I was discussing yesterday, we were discussing Lakhi Devi and her household. I said, I'm fortunate I have a wife who gets up in the morning, first thing she does, she sweeps the apartment. I said, nowadays I think it's rare to find such a wife that would do that. And also when I come for lunch, she says, today you will not go to Ganga? Today you will not go to Ganga? No. Where to find such a wife? So much dharmic. Today you are not going to Ganga? So every day I have to go. Every day I have to go. How fortunate I am to have. And if you regularly bathe in darshan, you regularly bathe in Ma Ganga, then you develop attachment. She's doyamoy. Mahaprabhu says she's a dui doyamoy, full of mercy. Navadeep Dam Gaur Mandal Bitare Jhanabir Shebita Hoy Shoda Shobha Kore. Shoda Shobha Kore. She beautifies Navadeep Dam. Navadeep Dam Gaur Mandal Bitare Jhanabir Shebita Hoy. By the presence of Ma Ganga, Jhanabir Shebita Hoy Shoda Shobha Kore. She beautifies Navadeep. That's the service. Ma Ganga ki jai. So they came in the middle of the night, so as not to create a big commotion. Adoratre, Rupa and Sanatan, they went in the middle of the night. And quickly, Rupa Goswami, he left. He gave up everything and he left with his Anupam. And as they were going, and we were discussing yesterday, they just arrived in Prayag. Prayag, such a special place. Such a special place. And you were there doing Sankirtan at the Mahakumbha Mela. How fortunate, that's enough. I think that's enough for you to attain the spiritual world. That one seva. Prayagraj is so special. I mean, ancient city. So ancient city. From the Puranic times. That has been a Tribeni Ghat. And Mahaprabhu's Leela there. And Rupa and Prabhupada was initiated there. Prabhupada helped establish Gaudiya Math there. Sri Rupa Math. Prabhupada helped establish collected funds. Prabhupada was initiated there. What a place. Prabhupada was initiated there. Major significant meeting with Siddhanta. So yes, I've recognized him. He likes to hear. He does not go. That is eternal. Prabhupada said he felt so much nectar. He never felt such ecstasy before, having heard his spiritual master. Appreciate his quality. Yes, I have marked him. He likes to hear. He likes to hear. What? Such a conclusion, everything in that one statement. He likes to hear. Prabhupada's qualities. He likes to hear. He's so attached to the hearing from the spiritual master. Jasha prasada bhagavat prasado. Jasha aprasada nagati kutopi. Prabhupada quotes in that verse, Neha bikramana nasa vyavasayatmaka buddhi. One pointed to tell you, what is that? Yasha prasada bhagavat prasada. Mercy of the spiritual master. Serve the order. Give one's life to the order of the spiritual master. Is there any example comparable to Prabhupada in terms of giving one's life to the order of the spiritual master? He began writing in English. We were just discussing in Kolkata. He began writing essays in English because he'd been ordered to preach in English. He began publishing Back to Godhead in 1944. Even in the time of the war, we would think, oh, no, now's not the time. Such a crisis. How can we do anything like that? Prabhupada said, no, this is even more required. The propagation of God consciousness is more required now at this time when there is such crisis. It's more required. And Prabhupada struggled to get the paper. And you can read, he had to fight to get paper. And at first they said, no. And then Prabhupada writing long letters, convincing them. And they were convinced. The government officials, they couldn't refuse. And they had to give him paper to write. And he began publishing Back to Godhead, 1944. Prabhupada ki. So then Sanatana Goswami, he carried on, but then he didn't want to stay. He'd finished with the Nawab service, and so he called sick leave. And he was sat at home with 20 or 30 Vaishnava Brahmins studying Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Actually, this was, he's thinking that this way I will get delivered. This is the process, the Bhagavat Kripa, the Bhagavat Seva, and everything will happen. Everything will happen automatically. This is all he did, he sat at home. And then Nawab came with his physician. He sent physician, and physician comes back and says, he's perfectly healthy. And then Nawab came, they all stood up. The Brahmin Vaishnava all stood up. And then Nawab put him in prison. I want you to manage. I'm going to Orissa to attack King Prataparudra. I want you to manage the kingdom. No, I'm not doing that. They put him in jail. So then he's in jail, and Rupa Goswami sends the money. You can still see that jail. Somehow it was low security prison, because he was able to get the letter of Rupa Goswami, and he was able to somehow get that money in order to bribe the jail keeper. And he says, no, when I come back, you're not here, the Nawab will kill me. He says, look, I'll tell you what to say. You tell him that Sanatan went to the Ganga to perform his daily evacuation, and then with his chains on, he saw the Ganga, he jumped in. And that was it. He drowned, never able to retain his body, washed away. I will go to the holy city of Mecca, so you'll never hear of me again. And then he put the 8,000 gold coins. So then he agreed. So Rupa and Anupam, they'd already left, and they were actually thinking, the Mahaprabhu, he instructed them. Ultimately, he instructed them to get free from the entanglement and join him. And they were thinking that they would all be together in Vrindavan. I would think, because Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan when he was in Bengal. He was going to Vrindavan. And even Sanatana Goswami said, it's very interesting, that even the first meeting, and it's the guru and disciple, but he's not just the guru, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they just met, and Sanatana Goswami, he gives advice. He gives advice. It's amazing. Would how could you do that? The first time you meet your disciple, and Mahaprabhu is followed by 10,000 people, surrounded by Nityananda is there, Haridas, all the great Vaishnavas, they're all there in that meeting. And then Sanatana Goswami, he gives advice. It's amazing. He's so transcendental that he's not no ego. He's just transcendental. He says it's not appropriate to go to Vrindavan with such a large crowd. And Mahaprabhu didn't say anything, but then they left, and then the next day Mahaprabhu, he reaches Kanai Natasala. It's a little further on from Ramkeli, the other side of the Ganga. Can visit sometime. Ramkeli is worth a visit, a Prikrama. Go to Ramkeli. So much can be discussed. Stay 2-3 days. Ramkeli and cross the river to Kanai Natasala. If there was no border with Bangladesh, you could just go a little bit into East Bengal, you could go to Keturi. Narottam Thakur Janmastan, just over the river. But it's the Bangladesh border. You can't go there unless, I don't think there's border crossing there. Now you can't go. So there's such a place. So he reached Kanai Natasala, and Mahaprabhu, he began to think what Sanatana said was correct. So he turned around and returned back to Jagannath Puri. He didn't go to Vrindavan. Actually, he only went to inspire Rupa and Sanatana. That was the reason why he went to Bengal. So having done that, he decided to return to Jagannath Puri. But Rupa and Sanatana, they were thinking he's going to Vrindavan and going to stay. They knew he returned, and then after a short time, Mahaprabhu actually left for Vrindavan through Jharikant with Balabhadra Bhattacharya. If I go alone, I'll just take one assistant. I'll either go alone or take one assistant. So then they sent a messenger to Puri, find out Mahaprabhu's plan, when he's going. And the messenger came back, he's already left. So quickly Rupa Goswami left. He's thinking they'll meet Mahaprabhu in Vrindavan, they'd remain there. I think they remained there permanently. But Mahaprabhu, his ecstasy was so increased in Vrindavan, he couldn't remain in Vrindavan. Balabhadra Bhattacharya, he brought him out of Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu himself couldn't decide. He was completely, you'd see the blackish water of the Jamuna, he'd be overwhelmed. Prema Besh, love of God, full unconscious. They couldn't cope. Every day he's falling unconscious. They have to take him out of Vrindavan. So they brought him out of Vrindavan. And then as Rupa and Anupam were heading to Vrindavan, they all met in Prayag. They all met at that place. And then they saw Mahaprabhu dancing. And then Prema Beshe, Nache, Prabhu, Hari Dhani Kodi, Prema Beshe, in love of God, Nache, Prabhu dancing, Hari Dhani, calling out the name of Hari. Udva Bahu Tule, raising his two arms. Bole, Bolo Hari Hari, Bolo Hari Hari. Mahaprabhu's kirtan in Ramkeli. It's the opening of the teaching. Did anyone check yesterday? Anyone check? Yeah, check. It's so ecstatic. Prabhupada opens the book. First, second line, he's saying, Mahaprabhu's raised arms, kirtan, overwhelmed love of God. This is his preaching style. And then they didn't approach immediately. They waited, and then they approached when he was a secluded place, and then they met Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami, and they went 10 days, dasas Svamedagat, Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Pranta, Shab Shikaila Prabhu, Bhagavat Siddhanto. You learn that one chapter, everything is there. On the basis of that book, on the basis of that meeting, Rupa Goswami, he compiled Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, complete science. Even it's interesting because you can read that book, you can read that chapter, but still a few verses, Mahaprabhu explains Prema, Rasa Tattva, the different Madhurja Ras and everything, but it's hard to understand. A few verses he mentions, it's hard to understand. What is that? Shadan Bhakti hoite hoy, roti udoy, roti gara hoy, le prem utpanna hoy. In one verse he explains everything from sadhana to prema. So it's not so easy to understand everything. And then hearing those simple those succinct instructions, Rupa Goswami, he expanded everything into the complete science. You look at Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, everything is so analytically described. It's assigned the first point, the first characteristic, second character, second division, first characteristic, second character, third division. It's amazing how he analytically describes the science of love of Godhead in such a way. It's such a important book, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We're not studying enough. In Bhakti Shastri even, we only study the first 20 chapters. But Prabhupada never said that. He said study the whole of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But no one does that in Bhakti Shastri. Somehow or other we set up these standards and that no one ever thinks about it. Bhakti Shastri is only the first 20 chapters of, but there's so many more, so much more. So at least we're working on questions, we're working on the exam questions, we were on the board of examinations, we're working on some examination questions. So in these examination questions for Bhakti Vedanta, we have so much reference to nectar devotion. You have to explain the symptoms of prema, love of God, as described in the Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, with reference to nectar devotion. So in that way, we're including it somehow and somewhere later in the later degrees. And then Mahaprabhu, he carried on to Varanasi, and then at that time, because he was delayed, so Sanatana Goswami, he arrived in Varanasi, and that description is there that Mahaprabhu sends Chandrasekhar. There's some mendicant Vaishnava at the door. He goes, looks, no one. Comes back, no mendicant Vaishnava, no. Mahaprabhu says, anyone there? He says, one kafir, one Muslim. bring him. He's looking, that's the point. They assume the names of the Islamic honorific names, Dabir Kash and Sakar Malik. You can Google those names. They're still honorific names in the Islamic leadership culture. They're still there, those names, Dabir Kash. It's a title, awarded. And the dress and the appearance, he looked like a Mughal. That's the position. And when he fell at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nicha Jati, Nicha Shangi Potit Odhom, Kubishai Kupe Goinu Janom. Nicha Jati, low born. Mahaprabhu said, he said that Anupam had attained perfection. Your family is very blessed. And what would we say? Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's all your mercy. No. Sanatana Goswami, no. He said, no, Nicha Jati. I'm a low-born, Nicha Jati, Nicha Shongi. I'm an associate of the low class, Nicha Potit Odom. I'm sinful, I am Odom, lowest of men. Kubishai Kupe. Bishai, sense enjoyment. Kubishai. Not just standard sense enjoyment, high class, high level. Kubishai Kupe. The deep dark well of Kupe. Kubishai Kupe. Bishai Kupe. The deep dark well of sense enjoyment. Kubishai Kupe. Goinanu Jonom. Jonom, my life has been wasted in extensive sense gratification. I'm low birth, low associates, most sinful, the lowest of men. And Sanatana Goswami is actually believing that. It's not like us. We in ISKCON we say, "Oh Prabhu, no, I'm the most fallen. I'm not qualified," but we don't believe it. We say it's the language, parlance. You have to say, "No, Prabhu, no." But we think I'm not. We don't think I'm the most fallen. We think those out there, they're not chanting Hare Krishna, they're not performing Bhagavad Bhakti, they're not distributing books, they're much more fallen than me. That's what we think. But we say, oh no, I'm but Sanatana Goswami is actually convinced. He's actually thinking that. He's thinking. And that's melted Mahaprabhu's heart. Dhanna chara tama dhanna fete morma. Your heart is your humility. Dhanna. Dhanito. Dhanna. What's it in Sanskrit? The dhanito, in Bamba, dhaina. The dhaina prabhopata, this humbly offering prayers, dhaina, humility. Humility. Dhanna chara, give up your humility. The tomar dhanna fete morma, your dhanna, your humility, it's breaking my heart. Mahaprabhu is breaking his heart. Such qualified persons, so qualified, they're intellectuals. They'd already written books. They're intellectuals. They're administrators. They're great organizers. They're expert in organizing, leadership. They're learned scholars. Nana Shastra Bicharanaka Nipuno. In all the various scriptures. Nana Shastra Bichar. Analyzing all the various scriptures. Nana Shastra Bicharanaka. Expert. Nipuno. Mature. Expert in study and analysis of all the scriptures. When you read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where he's quoting from. How he knows all of these obscure shastras means he's read them all and identified the verses which support the conclusions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. What an expert! How you and in terms of their character, nidra aha vihara kari vijito, nidra sleeping, aha eating, vihar recreational activities, vihara kari vijito they completely lost interest in. What about their character? It's so much evidence, so much reason to be proud. So much reason to cruise around like, hey, don't you know who I am? Don't you know what I've done? Don't you know my qualifications? Don't you know how dear I am to the Lord? Don't you recognize? So much reason. But still, atanta dino, nidra aha viharakaji vijito, cha, atanta dino, excessively humble. Excessively humble. And Mahaprabhu is so attracted to that quality, The Kalavashani Krito, how does that one go? The Chaktvar, Shanka Purvakanam Agana Natibi Kalavashani, how they utilize their time. Sanka Purvakanam, chanting on beads. Even we know so many devotees, they say, the beads, and I remember Krishna, and even we're such neophyte, we don't take seriously Shankha Purvakanam, but they're so exalted. Shankha Purvak, counting. Shankha Purvaka means counting the rounds. Shankha Purvakanam, gan, singing, natibi, dancing, kalavashani kuto, and they utilize their time. Natibi, where is that? Bowing down? How does that one go? Where is that one? Bowing down, offering obeisances. We hear that Raghunath Das Goswami paid obeisances to every Vaishnava he saw. There's more than 1,000 times a day. You imagine 1,000 times a day paying just that would take up your complete time. Even at the festival time, we see so many sannyasis. Oh, Jai Maharaj, come on, so many times I've bowed down today. Oh, Jai Maharaj, Jai. Enough. Bowing down again? 10, 15 times, about all we can cope with. 1,000 times. That's so humble. Mahaprabhu explained when the Digbijay, he was coming into Navadip. This is a Bidyalila. Mahaprabhu Vidya Nimai Pandit, Navadeep Chandra. And the students were saying that the Digvijay Pandit, he's coming. And he will embarrass the scholars of Navadeep. What would Mahaprabhu said, his pride will be crushed. And Mahaprabhu said that a tree laden with fruit, bows down. The more one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness, the more one considers himself unqualified. So these are a few thoughts on this morning's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam verse. So any questions? Grantharaj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Look at that. It says here, finish at 9:05. I should get special points for that. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.